as a producer, how do you how do things get approached? You know, knowing that you're going to be playing the drums versus sampling drums.
Well, sampling drums is dope. Me myself, man, I started sampling myself because let's say like back in the '90s, in the early '90s, everybody was sampling James Brown, Funky Drummer. Everybody was sampling Impeach the President, and everybody was sampling. There was 4 drums that everybody was sampling. The most sampled drums in hip hop history: Funky Drummer, Impeach the President, the Brethren drums, and Substitution. I didn't want to sound like everybody else, and I approach producing like DJing. I don't want to cut and scratch like anybody else. I do my own shit. I create my own shit. So I wanted to just create my own sound. So back then I would just get on my drum set and just play and hit record, and I would sample myself. So when those Busta albums came out, usually in the producer universe, producers would call each other. Like when we put out a record, when somebody got a placement somewhere, yo, what sample was that? With your tell, like, let's say P Rock calls me, yo, what was that shit you used? And I tell him, yo, what was the drums though? What record was that? I'm like, nah, that was me. What do you mean that was you? Like, yeah, I sampled myself. I play the drums and sample myself. So.
Oh, on the producer world, that made me think of something that I've always meant to ask you, or was always curious. Cause like on Funky Piano, you that was under your real name. So why did you use George Spivey on that versus Scratch? I've always been meaning to ask you that.
What do you mean I use my real name? What do you mean?
Because on the credits, I remember I was trying to figure out who George Spivey was because I didn't know that was your name at the time.
Oh, that was actually writer's credit. To say like produced by DJ Scratch, and when you see the writer's credit, it says George Spivey. I don't even know what the credits are on there, but the credits is fucked up on there anyway because I produced more songs than Funky Piano, and I didn't get my credits wasn't on there at all. Like I produced Rampage, I produced Funky Drum, I produced Brothers on My Jock, I produced For My People, and Funky Piano. But there's only credit for Funky Piano on there. I don't even remember what the credit says, but usually the credits are supposed to say, produced by DJ Scratch for, my company, and then George Spivey as far as the writing and publishing information.
Right.
So that might be what that says.
Okay. Because also with the Scratch Bring It Back, Eric Sermon referred to you as George too. So I was like a little kid trying to figure out, all right, who is this?
Yeah. So George hit me with the funk scratch. Yeah. And then P say on Funky Piano, real name George Spivey, sports a hot top fade.
Right. So I was always trying to make sure I was cross-referencing everything correctly.
Yeah. He says that line in Funky Piano. Real name George Spivey, sports a hot top fade.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. Now with Saturday Afternoon Kung Fu Theater 2, Kaiju is another one. That song is so powerful, but it ended up being the last song on the project, which ends it very forcefully and powerfully, and superhero and monster and all kinds of stuff going on. So given the fury and the force of that, from a sequencing, from a production, all these things, why did you guys end up having that last?
Like I said, it's like a movie. When you watch a movie, right? Excuse me. When you watch an action movie, do you want the action movie to end, just on some calm shit, people walking on the beach? Or do you want the movie to end with action on a bang? That's why I chose Kaiju to be last. Sequencing is a lost art. Sequencing an album is a lost art, man. You can have an incredible album, but if the sequence is wrong, it won't have the same effect as it should. So sequencing is just like you like if you're doing a movie, and an action movie for me what's going to keep me sitting in the movie theater, it has to be a shootout or something in the first 5 minutes of that movie, or I'm going to lose interest, because it's supposed to be an action movie. If it's not an action movie, then whatever. But if it's an action movie, something got to happen in the first 5 minutes. And it has to end with a bang to make it great. But yeah, Kaiju, it's a powerful record. And that's how a movie should end. That's how any album should end. It should end up here, not down here. Album shouldn't go like this. It should go like this and bang at the end. So that's why I chose Kaiju to be the last song of the album.
Yeah. Well, a very different album, but I know you had sampled this and scratched it before, I should say, but Scratch Bring It Back with Scenario, it kind of made me think of Low End Theory ending with Scenario was such a boost, you know, and it was very different type of song, of course, Kaiju, but it kind of made me feel that same energy when I was like, whoa, that's the last, that's the last song. It's kind of crazy.
Right. Gotta end it with a bang.
Yes, you clearly did that. That being said, why this is a good thing, of course, but I wanted it to be longer. So why did you guys keep it brief, the album?
Well, we wanted the album to be 7 songs. 7 is the God number, piece of the gods and nerves. 7 is the number of completion. That's all you need. You know what I mean? And then you listen to it over and over. You listen to it over and over and over.
Oh, I already have. That's for sure.
Yeah, you don't me personally, man. Like if I was in charge of doing of songs of all the albums I produce, I would choose 7 to 10 songs. Yeah, I would leave it to 7 to 10 songs. Like you don't need 15, 19, songs, man. Like I never like that, like ever. Like that's why I say Nas Illmatic is the perfect hip hop album. 10 songs. That's all you need. 10 songs, 7 to 10 songs. Anything over 7 is anything under 7 is an EP. 7 songs is an album, is an LP. So yeah, but 7, 7 is the God number. So we choose 7.
Okay. Also, sonically, I think We Could Take It Outside from Buster that you did also had obviously Saturday Afternoon Kung Fu Theater is more, I think, layered. There's a lot more musically than We Could Take It Outside.
Yeah.
But I remember thinking when I was listening to the album that beat in particular made me think of this project, just because of the sounds and the flow and the pacing of a lot of it. Right. So do you, what with We Can Take It Outside musically, do you still think how that beat or that song kind of still affects what you work on, if at all?
No, not really. That joint, We Can Take It Outside, that was if I can remember, that was Henry Mancini. Yeah, I think it was Henry Mancini. That was just a vibe, man. Like, and that record, like, I was gonna play it over, but I could not get the keyboard that I had at that time. I couldn't get that same. And if I would have played it over, the world wouldn't have known any difference. But just me in particular, I wanted to capture that same exact tone of that piano, and I couldn't get it, so I just used the sample. I would have to clear it anyway, but I just like to play stuff over sometimes so I can have a little more control over it if I want to change a couple of things. But yeah, now that it didn't have anything basically to do with with the other joint. It's just a vibe. Like I said, I'm blessed to have my own sound, so that's just the DJ Scratch sound, man.
Okay. Well, then
the flip mode sound. When people hear beat, they be like, "Yo, that sounds like some Busta shit." No, it's actually some DJ Scratch shit. It's the DJ Scratch sound. I created the flip mode sound.
Yes, because you did quite a bit of that.
Yeah.
So that being said, when, why, and how did you get into playing the instrument yourself?
Well, my family, I have 5 brothers. I'm number 5. I'm next to the youngest. And we was like the Black Partridge Family in the crib. So, you know, my older brothers, they were all musicians and shit. And this is like before DJing. It's before hip hop. You know, they be in the house just jamming, guitars and shit. That's what kids did back then. You know, either you was playing sports or you was playing instruments. This is before turntable DJing and all that. So as a little brother, you want to do what your older brothers do. So I pick up a guitar. And I used to watch how my brothers learned music because they didn't have a music teacher. Everything they learned was by ear. So they would learn how to play instruments by learning to play the shows that we watch on TV. So for example, like MASH, the theme for MASH. We learn how to play that song on the guitar. We learn how to play the theme from Barney Miller by watching Barney Miller. We learn how to play so many different TV songs. And after you sit there and learn how to play all of these different songs, so you learn how to play the Jeffersons. So the bass line on the Jeffersons, we would watch it over and over and just learn how to play that one part, the bass part of it. And then one of my other brothers would learn how to play the piano part of it. So that's how we would learn how to play instruments. So when my brothers wasn't playing, they're doing jam sessions with their friends, I'd be on the bass guitar. And the first song I learned how to play was the theme from MASH on the bass guitar. So that's how we all taught ourselves how to play instruments, just by listening to music. And we didn't really have too much music to listen to, but we would just watch TV and learn how to play. Our mother wouldn't let us fuck with her records, you know what I'm saying, in the crib. But if she leave out, you know, my mom's played blues in the house and my pops played James Brown. So if then, you know, my mom's at work, you know, we'll throw on like some Albert King or some BB King or Bobby Blue Bland and just learn how to play those instruments. So that's how I learned.
Well, I think the flip mode sound then to me is very now that you say that, it makes sense to me, at least, because it has a lot of bluesish elements to it, the bass lines and
the bass line, you know, like old school reggae, like we call rockers, you know, before dancehall, when they was using it with, you know, the bass lines on rockers, is that bass line was that was like, you know, the signature shit. But if you listening to reggae music, especially classic reggae music, it's the bass line, boom, 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 boom. You know, just all of that, man. Like, and then just listening to James Brown, one song in particular, "Give It Up, Turn It Loose." That's Boosie Collins playing the bass on that joint. So just songs like that were like just stuck in my head, and then I realized just by studying music back then, the most important instruments to me on a song is the bass line and the drums. You can have keys, strings, but the bass line actually tells you what it is. The bass line is the signature of every song.
It is the guiding force, along with the drums, of course, but it is
right.
It is
the drums is the foundation. The drums is the foundation. The bass line is the paint on the house. You know what I'm saying? Like the drums are the wheels of the car. The bass line is the transmission.
So that also makes me think, did the TV, is that where you got the idea for using Psycho for Give Me Some More then?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, not TV. I was
I mean, I know that's a movie, but the idea of it though.
Yeah, it's a movie. Yeah, so yeah. That movie, shit, yeah, I watched that shit a long time ago as a kid, you know, before I was even thinking about making music. That shit was so fucking horrifying back then. I wasn't thinking about making music back then. But you know, through the years, you know, I love watching, you know, I love movies. So when I started collecting records, I always like buy soundtracks. So I have a collection of movie soundtracks. So one day I was in a, usually when I'm making beats, like if I'm in a sampling mood, I'll just go eeny, meeny, miny, mo and pull out an album, because every album in my collection, I bought it. So there's something on it. You know what I'm saying? So one day I pulled up the, no, as a matter of fact, Psycho came on TV one day. And I didn't know why it was on, but come to find out it was on because they remade Psycho. So they, when they do a remake of a movie, they start showing the original on TV. So that's what happened. So it came on TV, and I heard that sound. And I'm like, shit, that shit was kind of dope. And then I went and I have the soundtrack. I have every soundtrack. And I pulled out the and just searched until I found that part, and boom, there it is. And the crazy shit is this. That movie came out. As a matter of fact, that movie came out, and the remake came out in 2000. People thought "Give Me Some More" came out because of that movie. It was just a coincidence that I used a sample for the Psycho joint.
Yeah. Well, now also what you're saying all this too, I remember now the bass is so pulsating. You know how you have it on there, the bass drives it as much as the percussion. To your point, so
yeah, and in the original score from that movie, there's no bass. I just played the bass. I just wanted the bass and the drums. And when I gave Busta that beat, I told him just rap to the drums. Don't think about the strings. Just rap to the drums and the bass. And he did it.
Huh. Interesting. And adding these different sounds on Pugilism, one of my favorites on Saturday afternoon Kung Fu Theater. I also wanted to get like how you added like the thunder or the weather sounds.
Yeah.
As a producer, when you like how and when did you get comfortable with your production to where you're able to bring in these non-musical type of elements to it to make it more cinematic?
Yeah, I just feel it just makes the song better, man. Like, but not too much of it. So when he says butterfly knives, lightning strikes, I just see it. I just visualize it. You know what I mean? I'm thinking about when we're doing this album, I'm thinking that we're going to do a video for every album. And this is what it would look like. You know what I'm saying? So when it said butterfly knives, lightning striking, I just went and got a lightning, a thunder sound, and just put it there. And it made it better. You know what I'm saying? Like, just that one little thing made it better. And even when he was talking about what's the joint, the line where he says, try to something, that sound, that was foolishness. So I put the sword sound in there. It's just those little things just makes a song better. You know what I'm saying? Just those little small little intricate things. But hearing it without it, it's cool. But when you hearing that lightning strike, and then if you hear it in a system, the way I EQ'd it and the way I got it panned, it sounds like the lightning is striking outside because it goes like this.
Oh, I listened to it on my headphones and not little ear pods. I listen on real headphones so I could hear it, because listening to your work for so long, I know that you have panning. I know that you have just in the left ear or the right ear. So I wanted to get that experience, which is why I'm glad I remember to ask you about the lightning and the thunder, because yeah, I agree with you. It's those wrinkles and those elements make the music last longer too. And that to me is what makes, I mean, you know this better than anybody, but when you have a good, even if it's only a little bit of a scratch in the song, all of a sudden people remember that because it's like a breakbeat. It's something distinct.
Right. Yeah, just those little things, man. And salute to RZA for just trusting me throughout the process. Like, he was like, yo, when he started sending me vocals, he was like, yo, anything you need me to change or anything that you need me to do, like, I'll do it. So he literally allowed me to produce him. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's hard for artists to give you that full, you know, just hand the reins over to you like, yo, here's my vocals, do what you need to do to make this shit great. And stayed out of the way. You know what I'm saying? Like, so when he did Pugilism, when he first laid it, I was like, yo, like you're slightly out of pocket. Do this. And he went back and he did it, sent it back. So I'm like, all right, cool. So by the time he heard Pugilism, when I finished with it, he was like, damn. You know, the lightning striking, the sound effects, the swords and all of that. And after that, he was just like, you know, anything you need to do, just make it happen. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate him to do that. And I'm just honored to just even produce a whole project for a Wu-Tang member, let alone the Abbott, the head of Wu-Tang. You know, that's a wish list for any producer. If you ever produced any hip hop, is to produce an entire album for a Wu-Tang member. So I'm just honored that he chose me. He could have chose any fucking body. You know what I'm saying?
Be sure to check out the History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
There will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
With Fab 5 on Yo MTV Raps with NWA.
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The History of Gangster Rap in stores now.